Who's that? Commander Claw. Who's bad? Commander Claw.
Players, 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 welcome back to another episode of Breaking Brews. I am your host, Commander Claw, and today we have 5 pickups for the new MTG Foundations Commander. This creature card is a beast, and his name is Slinza, the Spiked Stampede. What I think about this commander, I think it's a very beginner-friendly commander. A little bit not too over the top, but kind of to that second level. It does a lot of things that green does if you buy these like staple cards. But I think it's a nice commander to start out in your MTG EDH journey. Let's unpack him. Let me tell you more what I think about him when you're playing with a Gruul commander. Uh, what else can I say about this guy? I think he's gonna be easy to build, fun to play, straightforward, even good for your kids if you're trying to get them to learn the game of Magic. Let's get started. For 5 mana, 4 colors and a green. It's not on the screen right now, but this is a 5/5 legendary beast creature. It has the ability of beast spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. That is really good. You know why? Because the creature type beast is usually a heavy CMC, meaning it usually costs about 5, 6, even sometimes 7 CMC. So you reduce the price, the mana cost, the mana value by 2. You get to play more creature spells. Generally, when you are playing Gruul, it's a permanent heavy type of deck to play with. So permanent heavy means you're putting down cards, you're putting down creatures, you're putting down enchantments, you're putting down artifacts, and you have the occasional, instance of sorcery, easy to boost up power, deal damage through burn spells, or even a giant burn spell. Or sometimes those green X spells just flop out a bunch of creatures onto the battlefield out of nowhere if you invest in a lot of mana. But back to Slinza. Its second ability says each other beast creature you control enters the battlefield with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. That is good. You know why that's good? Because I had this new thing of saying when I play with my friends in a game of Commander, the one matters. If you go to combat with a 5/5 and a 4/4, you are confident swinging with a 5/5 that 4/4 will die. Or your opponent's taking 5 damage. You know how much 5 damage out of 40 is? That's like 12.5% of their life total. Nobody really wants to take that twice. They might take it one time, but not twice. But back to Slinza. Slinza also says whenever Slinza or another creature with power 4 or greater enters, beast creatures, you may pay 2, either red, green, or colorless. When you do, Slinza fights target creature you don't control. So it is a 5/5. So if it fights another creature that is weaker, that other creature will die. This is a nice fight spell mechanic built onto the creature, so you can kind of keep the board clear and making your attack combat phases open. Let's get to the cards. Now, remember when I said beast creatures are expensive to play? This is a really good card. Rona's Monument. For 3 mana, it's an artifact, legendary artifact to be exact. It says green creature spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. This is good because if you have a multicolored red-green creature, it still counts as a green creature. So this reduction still counts. This artifact also says whenever you cast a creature spell, which you'll be doing a lot because you have a commander that says beast creatures cost 2 less to play, you're playing a lot of beast creatures. Target creature you control gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. This is just nice synergy. So you put out a beast creature or any other creature, really, and you can just give the creature you plan to attack with +2/+2 and trample. Think about that. Some creatures don't come with trample. Sometimes they're just weak creatures and they have the Saboteur effect, where if you deal damage to a combat, if you deal damage to a player through combat, you get some kind of reward. That's what Saboteur means. But, +2/+2 and trample is a lot. Don't underestimate it. Ha 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 ha. Encore, encore. We have the word saboteur uh, again. I forgot how to say that in French. Encore is again. Yeah, duh. Anyways, we have Quartzwood Crasher for 5 mana, 2 red, green, 2 colors, Dinosaur Beast. All you dinosaur fanatics, dinosaur tribal rules. It is a 6/6 trample creature. It says whenever one or more creatures you control with trample deal combat damage to a player. Remember, we have Rona's Monument out, so it gives creatures trample. If you have this out there, we get another bonus, players. It says create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player. So pretty much any creature that you have with trample, when it deals damage to a player, you make a XX green dinosaur with power equal to the damage you dealt to that player. That is great. This is a repeatable token generator. This makes your board state wider. I feel like this is a really... I play with this card a lot. I guess I'm a dinosaur tribal fan, right? It's good. It's good. It's a solid creature. Opponents... I honestly, every time I played this card, a board wipe has come out. This is a 6/6 trampler for 5 mana. That is a really good rate. So if you play this card, don't expect to last long. Just don't. Just don't. Your opponents should take it out. All right, the third card we have here is the Armored Scrap Gorger for 2 mana. It's a 0/3 Phyrexian Beast. Armored Scrap Gorger gets +3/+0 as long as it has 3 or more oil counters on it. How do we put oil counters on this, right? How? It's a mana dork because it says tap, add 1 mana of any color. That's super good. A 2 CMC creature that taps for any 1 mana. Then it says whenever Armored Scrap Gorger becomes tapped, you attack and your creature becomes tapped. Exile target card from a graveyard and put an oil counter on Armored Scrap Gorger. So this is a good card just to eliminate threats in players' graveyards, right? You got to think players do play with reanimation spells. There's spells that have flashback. There's spells that say when something leaves the graveyard, or like a creature needs to be in your graveyard, blah blah blah. I don't know. There's a bunch of things that graveyard is a significant factor, and if you can exile something from the graveyard, that means it's generally not coming back again. Once it goes into exile, you should feel very good that this creature, spell, land, whatever it may be, is not coming back. That is the good thing about exile. Use it. As you can see, I got my coffee going on, a little late night magic, but I got Primeval Bounty going on. 6 CMC Enchantment. It says whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 3/3 green beast creature token. We're running with our beast themes. At this point, you got to put Coat of Arms in because, for each creature type of the same creature type, it gets +1/+1. Coat of Arms is a really good creature, very popular when you play with goblins. Primeval Bounty also says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put 3 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. Wow. Okay, so if you play like a giant growth, giving a creature +3/+3, you give him an additional +3/+3, making it +6/+6. Ouch. Yeah, imagine the Quartzwood Crasher is already 6/6. You can make it a 12/12 trampler. Next up, it has Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. Don't underestimate gaining life, even if it's 1, even if it's 2. 3 is really good. You know why? That is, the more life you have sometimes, the more your opponents don't feel like they should attack you. And there's also that sweet spot of life totals where you're at 50, somebody else is at 40, somebody's at 20, another person's at 25. Opponents are trying to decide who they want to attack. And sometimes 50, 60, you're just out of reach unless they got something like a crazy combo they can pull off to just eliminate your life total. Okay, so where my face is the awesome, super popular Craterhoof Behemoth. I'm not going to talk about this card. This card is just the instant overrun game killer winner effect for green in general. It's a very expensive card, 8 mana, beast. It has haste when it enters the battlefield. Creatures get +X/+X for the amount of creatures you control. It's just a staple. It is a beast, so it works with Slinza. All right, in the middle, we have Herald of Ilgarg. 4 mana, red, green, 2 colors, Boar Beast, 3/3 body, Trampler. Whenever you cast a creature spell, put 2 +1/+1 counters on Herald. If that spell has mana value 5 or greater, Herald deals damage equal to the number of counters on it to each opponent. This is a really good Gruul creature that can deal damage to each of your opponents, because you can also proliferate those +1/+1 counters. And even when you play Herald after Slinza, he gets an additional +1/+1 counter. So, you're playing a bunch of beast spells that have higher than 5 CMC or 5 CMC. Yeah, yeah, Herald goes well. I like Herald here. Next up, we got Altanach, the Thrice Call, 7 CMC, 9/9 Insect Beast Legendary Creature. Trample. Honestly, these are just a bunch of beast creatures I wanted to show you that can do damage that you probably want to add to your beast deck with Slinza. Anyways, whenever Altanach, the Thrice Call, becomes a target of spell or ability and opponent controls, draw a card. Cool. That's card draw in green. That's kind of difficult to do in green. It's usually some kind of something has to happen for you to draw a card. Pay 2 mana, discard Altanach, the Thrice Call, return target land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Okay, so this is just kind of like a very utility type of creature. It is a 9/9 insect beast. That is pretty big. That's intimidating. It should get eliminated. And most likely your opponents are going to try to remove it. So you get a card draw off of it. One card after you paid 7 mana for something, but you're really not trying to pay 7 mana for this if you have Slinza out. So, it's a nice little, payback is not the right word, but benefit after it gets removed. So the real reason why I showed you all those beast creatures is because I want to show you Gwenna, Eyes of Gaea. If you don't know who Gaea is like the somebody correct me. It's like the mystical nature element, like Mother Nature. It's like the Mother Nature of the Magic universe. Like there's the card called Gaia's Cradle. It's literally Mother Nature. So that's the way Gaea is. Super cool lore there. For 3 mana, Elf Druid Scout. It's a mana dork. Tap it, add 2 mana, any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells or activate abilities of a creature or creature card. Ooh, that's good. Or creature card. Okay, so yeah. What we're going to do with here is use this to cast big creatures, right? Our beast creatures. And what made me say, ooh, is the creature card part. So remember when we have the Altanach insect beast creature that was 9/9, it said tap 2 mana and discard it. Yeah, you could tap her and use that for its ability. There's creatures that will be in your hand that have abilities on the card that you can activate. That's why I say creature card. Key. Pro tip right there. Also, back to Gwenna. She says, whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, you're probably going to be doing that a lot. Put a +1/+1 counter on Gwenna, Eyes of Gaea, and untap it. So essentially, you tap her to add mana to cast a creature with power 5 or greater, put a +1/+1 counter, and untap it. And you keep on doing this over and over as many times as possible. Cool. Nice benefit. All right, so we got Manglehorn here for 3 mana. It's a beast. It says when it ETBs, you may destroy target artifacts. Not bad. Not bad. There's going to be pesky artifacts out there that opponents have, like the Greatest Hinge. I hate that card. An amazing card, but I hate it. I wish I had it, actually. Artifacts your opponents control enter the battlefield tapped. Do not underestimate that ability. You know how many artifacts that come into play and they can just tap in to activate it? That's majority of them. Majority of them. But if they're tapped, that means they kind of had to wait one turn to activate whatever that ability is, if it's a tap ability. I also put Thalia and the Get Rock Monster as a recommended commander if you never played with it. It's a super cool, very abusive card. I got a friend that plays with this card, and for some reason, we don't remove it on time. I generally do. But it has the same ability where your opponent's artifacts come into play tapped. And I'm telling you, treasure tokens that you plan on casting stuff, when they come in tapped, you can't sacrifice them. Can't sacrifice them. Manglehorn is a really good card. Thalia and the Get Work Monster are very good cards. If you're interested in that commander, let me know if you want me to make a little 5-card pickup for that guy or even a deck tag. Just write that below. So this is the summary. Thank you for watching this video about Slinza. It's a super cool, I think, beginner-friendly commander. If you like green, if you like red, that is Gruul colors. Slap this creature on the board. You got a bunch of beast creatures in your hand. You get to cast them for less, allowing you to play more of these powerful creatures that generally have trample and high power. Usually your opponents will quiver because they have chump blockers, especially if they're playing aristocrats or some kind of blue creature, and they want to bounce your creature back to your hand. And guess what? You're not really worried because you get to pay it for less mana every single time. So if you like permanent heavy Gruul commanders, Slinza is a really cool commander. Thanks for watching the video. Subscribe if you like the comments. Subscribe. Appreciate it.